I've got a maximum of 4 hours and a very ambitious goal. Can I make an entire month's worth of lunchbox snacks so that I don't have that last minute panic every single morning? My kids are away for a few hours, so I've got all the ingredients that I need. And I'm going to see if I can make a month's worth of snacks that will live in the freezer that I can just take out in the morning and put in their lunchbox. So let's get started. I'm going to try and make a mix of sweet and savoury snacks, ensuring everything is nut-free so that it's okay to take into school, and ideally using lots of nutritious ingredients and as little refined sugar as possible. So first things first, I'm going to get the oven on, and I'm roasting a whole chicken, which I'm going to use in one of my bakes, and then as a filling for some flatbreads that I'm making later. Next up, I'm going to put some sweet potatoes in the oven, and these will roast in the background, ready to be used in some wraps that I'm making a little bit later. This is a great way to make the most of the oven when you have it on. While that's cooking, I'm going to jump into my first batch recipe, which is savoury muffins with 2 different adaptations. I recently bought some new muffin tins, which now means I can make 48 muffins at once, which actually has been a huge game changer and means that I can be way more efficient. And you'll notice in this video, I'm making one base recipe, splitting it in 2 and adapting it so that I get a broader diversity of snacks across the month. As with a lot of my batch cooks, I like to group together preparation stages. So I'm now just going to batch prep grating my cheddar cheese. This is a trick that I love doing in the Thermomix. I think some food processors have grater attachments, or you could just grate it all in one go, but I'm going to do it now so it's ready for the recipes that I'll need cheese for later on. I'm using a trick that I do quite often, which is to take lentils and mill them into a fine powder, and then I swap out a little bit of the flour for this lentil mixture just to boost the nutrients a little. So everything is going to go in the bowl together, including my lentil flour, which I made. And then once this is stirred up, I'm splitting the batch in 2, and one half will have feta cheese stirred into it, and the other will have cheddar. You'll notice I have done a little bit extra of the cheddar ones because the feta is a bit of a gamble with our kids, but I think it tastes amazing. We'll see how it goes down with them. Normally I would use frozen spinach here to save time, but they didn't have any this week when I looked in the shops, so I've actually chopped this myself. In future, I do prefer to use frozen, as I find I end up wasting a lot less spinach that way. So these will go straight into the oven, and next up I'm going to make my sweet muffin batter. So I'm going to use one base recipe again, and I love this recipe as it uses overripe bananas and raisins instead of refined sugar. Whenever I'm in the shops, I always look out to see if there are bananas reduced. And if you're in the UK, shops like the Co-op and M&S have a section for overripe bananas, which they reduce down. So these are actually 10p in the Co-op, and they're actually really good for baking because they add so much natural sweetness to the recipe. You don't really need to use refined sugar, which is good for kids. I add a little bit of maple syrup to boost the sweetness, but no refined sugar in this recipe. I also like to include chia seeds in these muffins to boost the fibre and the nutrients. So one set of the batter will have some cacao mixed into it, and the other is going to have chocolate chips. The savoury muffins have come out of the oven. I'm going to fill the trays, ready to pop the sweet muffins in. Whilst those bake, I'm moving on to the next 2 recipes. First of all, I am making some energy balls. These are a recipe that I really love as they are nut-free, but they taste really good, and you can make them look really fun with a special trick. So you might have seen me do this before. I realised if you blitz up freeze-dried strawberries. You can turn them into a fine powder and then roll, in this case, energy balls in the powder to give them a really vibrant pink colour and a really delicious taste. Now, I will caveat this, that this packet of freeze-dried strawberries had been open for maybe about a week, and I think the air had got to them because they didn't turn to as fine a powder than when I used them fresh out of the packet. But they still had the same effect, which was great. And then in these energy balls, I'm using chia seeds mixed with some water as a gel to bind everything together. So once everything has been mixed up, including the dates, which were chopped in a food processor, that will sit for a while so the mixture can firm up and it will make it easier to roll. Whilst that firms up, I'm going to make some crumble bars, which is a recipe that we do like. Now, this does have refined sugar in it, but I tend to cut them quite small, and I actually find this recipe goes a long way, and we always seem to have crumble bars in our freezer. They just seem to last forever. I use frozen blueberries in this recipe, which is such a great thing to use in baking. It keeps the cost down. It works really well in a bake like this. So the crumble bars are going to go in the oven. The sweet muffins are coming out. And next up, I'm going to make some cookies. So the first set of cookies I'm making follows the same rationale as before. And the second is a little bit of an experiment where I had a few mistakes along the way, if I'm being honest. We'll go with the positive first. These oaty cookies are so tasty. They freeze really well. And when defrosted, they still are nice and chewy and tasty. So I made one base recipe which uses overripe bananas as the sweetener, and then I split the batter in two, and one half of the batter had white chocolate chunks and blueberry mixed in. Now, I will admit here, I probably put too many blueberries in because fruit obviously releases juices when it's baking, and these cookies were more on the sticky end. They were really nice, they were very jammy. The next time I probably would use a little less blueberries, but they were so tasty. This flavour combination is so nice. And then the other half of the batter I've kept as chocolate chip. Next up, our kids do quite like those little packets of mini cookies you can buy, but often these are full of additives and lots of extra sugar. So I thought I'll give that a go making it myself. Now, I thought I had spooned this cookie mixture out pretty small, but they do spread in the oven. So I think next time I actually would put even smaller dollops of cookie on there. And I will hold my hands up. I did get a little bit distracted whilst these were cooking. And so they are on the crunchier side, let's say, but they were so tasty. And these were actually one of their favourites from the bakes that I did today. Those are all going in the oven. So now that's done, I'm going to move on to some savoury recipes. The next recipe I'm doing is such a great thing to make. It takes hardly any time at all, and you get so many portions out of it. These are kind of like sausage rolls, but the vegetarian version. And I'm using a base of blended butter beans with lemon juice, and then adding 2 different flavours to it. Now, if you've watched any of my videos before, you'll know I love putting butter beans into things. And they're a really great way of thickening a sauce without overpowering the taste of it. So this butter bean mixture has been split in 2, and one half I'm adding some homemade spinach and edamame pesto from this month's batch cook. And then in the other half, I have added some tomato puree, and within both I've stirred in some cream cheese and then some seasoning. And then I'm simply rolling out my pre-made puff pastry, spreading the filling on the top. Then I'm cutting it in half, lengthways, folding over, and then cutting into smaller pieces. These will then have an egg wash, and I like to sprinkle a few nigella seeds on the top because I think it gives it a nice look when they come out the oven. And as you see, we've made so many here, and these also defrost really well. I'm going to make some cheesy chicken and spinach mini loaves with a stuffing-inspired seasoning to them. I mean, I think these taste so nice. They kind of taste a bit like a roast dinner in a bake. Because they're quite a good size and they've got the chicken in, the protein. Sometimes when the kids don't fancy a sandwich, I might put this in the lunchbox instead. So that's the oven done. So the energy balls are ready to be rolled now. I'm rolling them all first, and then I'm going to split the recipe in half and roll half of the energy balls in the strawberry mixture that I blitzed up earlier. These are now ready to go into the freezer. So last but not least, I'm going to make some flatbreads, and this is where I will get those roasted sweet potatoes that I had in the oven earlier. And the recipe is literally just mashed up sweet potato, flour, a bit of olive oil. I like to put a little bit of salt in and some smoked paprika. You mix it into a dough until the dough isn't super sticky. You might find you need to add a bit more flour. Roll it out and then dry fry. In the time that I allowed for this challenge, I had hoped I'd get enough time to mix up all of the fillings that I was going to put in these wraps and then roll them and freeze them. But I ran out of time to do that. And so I'm going to do that this evening once the kids are in bed, and then I can pop that all in the freezer so they're ready to get out on the morning when I'm filling their lunchbox. So after 3.5 hours, I've managed to make a month's worth of lunchbox snacks. We've got a really good mix of sweet and savoury recipes in here with lots of variety without making lots of different things. And to recap on what I made today, I made some tomato and olive pastry rolls, some chicken and stuffing flavoured mini loaves, wraps which I will fill and then freeze with their fillings in them. I also made some cookies, which were a bit of an experiment, and some chewy banana chocolate chip cookies, along with a blueberry and white chocolate chip version. I made some pesto and cheddar pastry rolls, and 2 types of spinach and cheese muffins, one with feta and one with cheddar, both with the secret ingredient of lentil flour. I also made blueberry crumble bars, 2 different types of raisin muffins, one with cacao and one without. And last but not least, some energy balls, one with a strawberry coating and one just left bare. So hopefully this has given you some good inspiration on how you can make the mornings a little bit easier. There's one key takeaway I've had from this challenge is if you can make a base recipe and adapt it, it will save you so much time without losing the variety of the recipes that you're enjoying across that month. This is going to make such a difference on busy mornings, and hopefully it's given you some inspiration in how you can make your life a little bit easier. If you liked this video, be sure to check out my channel where I showcase batch cooking challenges, lunchbox and snacks ideas, and also tasty things that I've made on my YouTube shorts.